Welcome to Council Action. I'm Russell Inman, and joining us tonight from Ward 2 is Councilman Tim Jones. Tim, good to have you back.
You betcha.
How are things going for you?
Life is good, and Ward 2 is good too.
Great. Well, Tim, let's take a moment. We're going to cover the meeting from July 27th. It's hard to believe we're already at the end of July, but definitely felt it in the weather today, didn't we?
No, definitely. Get a little rain, maybe it'll cool it down a little bit.
That'd be nice. Well, the meeting was pretty simple tonight. We had a public hearing that took up most of the meeting, the heart of the meeting. This was a request to authorize a special use permit to Taste Buds Catering, Inc., doing business as Taste Buds, to allow for the operation of a catering and diner in a B3 zoning district for a property at Malamphy Gardens Shopping Center. Now, at first glance, we're talking about a catering company. You know, you wouldn't think that this would take a lot of discussion, a lot of questions. You know, catering companies generally go in there, they cook their food, they take it to where they're going to be, and there's not a lot of public involvement. Talk a little bit about this company, what they're planning to do, and the questions that the city has.
Well, it looks like it's going to be two different operations pushed into one. I think the biggest concerns of the council is I think she has a good direction. She's wanting to grab the youth off the streets, especially for the free snacks. I think that is great, but we just are concerned that when you say free food, these kids are going to bunch up, and there will be a bunch of them come.
Let's step back. You know, free food. So she's going to have a catering business on one piece. It's going to be one section of her business. The other section is going to be kind of this teen diner.
Correct. They will have computers. She's trying to keep them occupied, but you're talking two separate things in one facility, mixing different age groups. There was a lot of questions tonight. I think it's concerned really most about the youth, just like at McDonald's or anywhere else. I mean, when you get a bunch of youth, usually you have problems. Mm-hmm. I think it's all set in a direction for good things, but when you have a bunch of youths come, they want to hang around, usually on the outside. They don't always want to leave when they're supposed to leave, and that's what we're concerned with. That is a shopping center up there with a lot of kids on skateboards already, and sometimes we have a little too much of that in the parking lots where there's vehicles and stuff like that. We just don't want to add more to that problem where we got a bunch of youths that are done eating at the snack shack and take off, but then they're loitering in the parking lots. And we have some concerns about that. A lot of people look at the good parts of it. Well, us as council people, we have to look at the other ends of it also in case this was to backfire. Then they come to the council and said, hey, didn't you guys consider this when you guys gave her this, that there is two parts of it? There's a lot of things that could happen, and it'll bounce back to the council.
Well, it sounds like she's hoping that some of the skateboarders that you mentioned in the parking lot, that's what she wants to attract in, get them out of the parking lot, get them to sit down, whether there's going to be some sort of study groups or tutoring, mentoring being done in there, the access to the internet, a place to get away and to maybe get off somebody's parking lot.
Sure. No, I think she has the right idea. Evidently, she has definitely the right background from it. Sounds like all her workers that she did mention have some good backgrounds dealing with youth. But like I said, anything that does backfire is not going to go to her. It's going to come back to this council and the mayor saying, hey, didn't you guys do your homework? How come you guys didn't ask these questions? So we try to be fair, but we try to be firm also.
And one of the fears it sounds like that the council has is there's one big attraction to this other side of her business that the other cafes don't have, and that's offering a free meal to the citizens. I guess she's looking at anywhere from K to 12th grade.
Oh yeah, I think it's a good thing, you guys. And sometimes when you have parents working, especially a single parent, the parents at work, the food's not always in the cabinet. So I think this is a very good thing. Keep the kids fed and off the streets. It's keeping them occupied in a good way. We just, that part of it, we understand that. But when they leave or it's time to leave and some of them's bunched up outside, I didn't have a ride, my parents dropped me off, stuff like that, we're concerned with. What is all these kids going to do now? We got 15 of them standing in the parking lot. We have vehicles coming in and out of the parking lot. we are very concerned about that. I think our heart's in the right place, but we got to be concerned about that. I mean, that is our job as a council to look at the negatives and the positives.
I think you said it well. Her heart's in the right place. Now we got to make sure that the plan is in the
Correct.
right place. Good. Okay, and that one actually was postponed or continued to the next meeting. So the public hearing was talked about tonight, but then continued.
We did ask her to get with Mr. Lee. It's in his council area in Ward 1. Hopefully, they can work some things out before they come back up to us again and have a little bit better answers. And we gave her a lot to chew on tonight. So hopefully, they'll get a little bit more of that worked out, and she'll come back in front of us again.
Good, good. Tim, we've got second readings tonight. There were several here. It looks like they all passed. An ordinance for a special use permit for U&J Green Enterprises. They're going to do business as Jay's and operate a restaurant lounge in a B2 zoning district on New Halls Ferry Road. This has been kind of a lounge in the past. It's had some issues with parking, but the city's done some work to address that.
That's correct. We're worried about the parking, the time they're leaving, the door slamming, where the fencing is going to be. I mean, I think everyone has good intentions, and we welcome the businesses here, definitely in Florissant. But we do have to look at the other side of it, that there is a residential area behind this. There will be door slamming no matter what time it is they're leaving. And we did question the fencing. Where's the fencing going to be, the times of operation, stuff like that.
There's a request to authorize a special use permit to Rising Star Academy. They're going to do business as New Rising Star Children's Daycare and operate a child's daycare in a B1 zoning district on Marietta.
Yes. We always ask questions, especially when it comes to kids. We definitely want to do our homework also. We go in a bunch of different age groups, but when it comes to the little guys, we want to see their background and what time they're opening, how many people do they, are guessing that's going to come there. There's a lot of questions that need to be asked always.
And if memory serves me right for that daycare, and it's going into a facility that's been closed for some time, so it's going to be great to see a little bit of revitalization there. But were they going to be a 24-hour daycare?
You know what, they brought that in front of us, and they did. They brought a big number of children, and we asked a lot of things. How many people are going to be working there? Is it going to be 7 days a week? There's a lot of questions. We're starting to see a lot more people work 7 days a week in different shifts and stuff. So we're starting to, this is the new things that are coming at us that we're definitely looking into, how they're going to do this, how they're going to do this at this time. Is there going to be food involved? There's a lot of questions to ask, especially when you go to that many hours and that many days.
And there was an ordinance appropriating a sum of $43,000 from a general revenue fund to budget account for the purpose of covering costs for workers' compensation and property and cyber liability insurance. Do you want to touch on that?
Oh, yes. The mayor always gives us an update before we vote on anything. I mean, we usually all do our homework. A lot of the residents don't know that we're privy to that, but that's what the council does do, is get information provided to them, and we all make a sound decision on that. Like I said, a lot of things that some of the people ask, if we told all of them, we'd spend more time telling them than we would answering the questions. So we try to stay on top of things. There's a variety of people on this board, so we definitely have somebody in each corner that are bouncing things off the mayor and our administration.
So this $43,000, that's just going to an increased cost in workers' comp?
That is correct.
Okay. There's an ordinance authorizing the mayor of the city to enter into a program agreement for federal funding for a project known as North Lafayette Street Reconstruction. Tell us a little bit about this. This is good improvements for Florissant.
Oh, you bet it is, especially Old Town. I mean, we have most our visitors head to the Old Town area. We definitely want to keep our streets up. We're working on a lot of things right now that I am not able to speak about yet. I think that the whole city is going to be very, very pleased with. This council we have right now is working hand in hand with the mayor, and we are making things smooth. We are definitely moving the city. We have a lot of plans coming up, and one of them is Old Town. I mean, we definitely have to keep them streets cleaned up, clear, and make it look beautiful down there, because most of our attraction is Old Town. We have a lot of things that's happening there on the weekends and stuff like that.
Good. There was an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement for a pedestrian signal replacement on Durhecke Road near Robinwood Elementary.
Yeah, we have a traffic commission that does a wonderful job. These guys are not paid to sit on this commission, and you have about like we have on our council, a little bitty, a guy from this business like, this guy from this, a mixture of people, and it's good to have a crew of people that you can agree to disagree with and get all aspects of it, because if you don't and everybody agrees all the time and turn into yes men, that's not the way to do business here in Florissant.
And we have several requests. We had 4 chickens. This is 2670 Knollwood. So it's kind of the season where we start to see the chickens rolling.
We are definitely seeing a lot of chickens. I just okayed one, I think last council meeting. We are okay with the hens, but not the roosters. We cannot have the cock-a-doodle-doos at 5 in the morning and everybody getting a rage. But no chickens, everybody's on the health kick, and that's the best kind of eggs you can get.
Well, we've seen this for really the last several years now,
yes.
And it doesn't seem like we've seen any backlash
no,
it's really creating a problem.
About every council meeting we have a chicken or so. That's funny to say that. That one was in Mr. Caputa's ward. He did speak about it. We all do go out, look at the roosters' pens. We talk to the neighbors. You guys all acceptable of this? We've never had no flackback. You're correct. The chickens is a good thing in Florissant.
Chickens have been good.
You betcha.
There's a request to transfer a special use permit from Linhart Inc. doing business as Cold Stone to Yummy Delights doing business as Cold Stone. I guess this is just a transfer of ownership.
That is correct. It's all going to stay the same, just the name's going to switch, but same ice cream, same all that. They said they're going to change a couple of the specialties, but besides that, it's going to be the same place. And it is a good place to go get an ice cream with the family.
It is. And there was a resolution that was adopted by the council tonight for the regional all-hazard mitigation plan.
That is correct. We do a lot of things we were wanting to stay on top of, just like any municipality should do. We have we have our things in our park once a year as far as cutting up the paper and stuff like that. We're really starting to get in more of it. We're one of the biggest cities around that has the trash cans provided for our residents for recyclables. I mean, there's a lot of things that we do look at that a lot of other places don't. But things have changed in the last 10 to 20 years, especially with hazardous waste materials and stuff like that, as far as putting them different places and how you throw them away.
Okay. There was an ordinance readopting the procedure to disclose potential conflict of interest and substantial interest in certain officials as set forth. What is this referring to?
Well, we have one of the top attorneys, which I think anybody will tell you that, with John Hustle in municipalities. John is very up to date, and he never shoves us away. Always, if you ask him a question, he'll sit with you and explain things to you. And John always tries to make sure that we're in the legal rights to the things that we do. So John tries to keep us above par.
And he brought this recommendation to the council?
That is correct.
Okay. Then we had this next first reading was passed in 3 tonight. It was an ordinance to authorize $24,060 from capital additions to professional services. This is to contract for the development of plans and specifications for remodeling work, the new court facility that is soon to come.
Correct. Our state rep that's in our area now passed the bill up there that would be able to take some funds that we get back to help our court building and build it. It's for, the way I understand it, the bill is for building the court facility and maintaining it, and that is all the money is good for.
Okay.
So that's a thing that a lot of people don't know about neither. It's usually in the newspaper or on the news, but a lot of people are not into that stuff. But if you are and you stay up to date with it, you would know where our funding's coming from for the court. It's not like we're just all of a sudden appearing with a bunch of money to buy a courthouse.
What's the status of that courthouse and its renovation? When is Florissant really hoping to be able to utilize that facility?
I'm pretty sure we came out with it. We do have possession of it now.
Okay.
We are doing a couple studies on hazardous waste. Your
your environmentals that you've got to do.
That is correct. And your asbestos inside or anything else, your tiles. But no, we think it's a great location. We hated to see the old bowling alley go down. It was Dick Weber Lanes for many years. But we think it's a very great place. You can get on the highway there. You can get off the highway there. You know, they don't have to come struggling into our city to find places, which now we have it at the Civic Center, or we'll have it here. We'll kind of bounce it around, and it does hamper some of our public domains for people that playing basketball or things right here at our own courthouse.
There was one last first reading. It was an ordinance for $30,000 from the General Revenue Fund telephone to cover the cost of a telephone audit.
Correct.
What's a telephone audit?
A telephone audit is to see what we're doing with our bills.
Okay.
You know, you can get into long distance. We have to look into this. I mean, that world has changed immensely as far as going out to somebody and bidding our long distance out and stuff like that. We have to take a look at our bills from the phone service. We got to look at that, because as things change, things get easier, cheaper, because everybody's wanting to go lower to drag your business over to them. And if we don't look at all that, then we get kind of sidetracked and spend a little too much money.
Well, that summed up the meeting. Tell us a little bit about what's going on in your ward. I think you've got some interesting things on the agenda.
Over in Ward 2, everybody knows I'm very active out on the streets, pretty well 7 days a week. There's a lot of things happening. The neighborhood is changing. A lot of the older people are passing off. You know, we have about 1 to 3 original homeowners still left on each block. But in the old neighborhood, it used to be you knew everybody on that street. You know, now as everybody getting older, the citizens, you're knowing every third guy or every sixth guy or stuff like that. You know, I think it's time we haven't brought the Neighborhood Watch program up to its standards in some time in Ward 2. So I'm going to work very diligently to do that. I'm up to my knees and stuff with the council. I do plan on appointing somebody in Ward 2 to oversee the Neighborhood Watch. We're going to appoint some new block captains.
Okay.
We're going to have a meeting. It's this Thursday at 7 p.m. at the JFK. I invited maybe a couple hundred people. Usually that divides up into about 30 people when you stick about 200 cards in different mailboxes, or not mailboxes, on the doors, or beat on the door and speak to a couple people and invite them. About 200, you're going to get about 30 or 40 people. And I'm just going to let it bounce around out there. Somebody's got questions, somebody's got ideas. What can we do to bring people back together to communicate? I think communication is a big thing. Chief Lowry does have all our police cars set as strategic places. The things now is we have to get the people, the residents, to make that phone call. A lot of people get scared, think there's going to be retribution. We don't give the phone numbers out or names of who called, but the more people that reach out and make that call to that police station, the safer our streets are going to be. And until we get people doing that, it's going to stay to lull just like this. Hopefully at this meeting at the JFK this coming July 30th, Thursday at 7 o'clock, I'm going to try to beef that up, try to get people to reach out. If you see a bad house, call your councilman. If you see something that's kind of funny, call the police department. I'm telling people I would rather see them call the police department and there not be a problem. Have the officer come to your door and say everything's okay, it was no big deal, it's just what happened. You sleep that much better in the evening. But a lot of people will say, I'll call next time, or it wasn't at my property, or I need everybody to step up to the plate and get on that phone and call your policeman. That's what they are there for.
Well, I heard you say in the meeting tonight, again, urging folks to lock their doors. So
you bet. We've had a lot of that too. We have a lot of minors out on these streets right now. It's summertime. They have nothing better to do, and they're going around. And the bad thing about it, they're leaving their car doors unlocked. A lady on my street, which they did catch the juveniles, our police department's number 1. They caught them juveniles, but the lady told me I left my purse in the car. Yeah. I had my computer in the car. And, you know, it seems like you would not leave that stuff in your car unlocked. Common sense tells you to take that inside, plus lock your cars up. I mean, we have to do things a little different. Our neighborhood is changing. We have to change with it. If we don't, these youth will overrun our city. Most of our problems are not within our city. They're unwelcome visitors that comes into our streets. And we have to let them know that they're not going to take over our streets. that we have people on the phone, that we have a neighborhood watch. Before this happened, Chief Lowry invited us all down. Almost all the council was there except two gentlemen. One was at working nights, one was at a funeral home. But the rest of the council was all there. We sat down with the chief. He was hands-on with us, with his officers, and we had a very good talk about what's going on in the city. So I don't think it's just me beefing Ward 2 up. I think it's everybody trying to get a handle on some of this crime in our neighborhood. So we can't do it by ourselves. A lot of us council people, the majority work very hard for the city, but we need a hand up by the residents when we're not on those streets. If you see something wrong, please call your police department.
You made another good point too, to make sure that if you own a firearm, to be responsible for it, and that's not an item that you want to leave in your car,
no,
especially in an unlocked car.
There's a lot of guys that shove it in their glove box and they forget about it after a long day of work, and you go in and some of them's leaving their cars unlocked on that too, but they're getting a hold of these pistols then. And it's not good business when you see that happen. And I do think that they should be responsible. You guys that have the firearms, I'm all for them, but we got to take care of our end of it too. We have to be safe with it.
Tim, I appreciate your insight and appreciate what you're doing for your ward and bringing the neighborhood watch together, bringing the community back together. It's terrific.
No, I'm glad to get my chance to speak out on this too. Like I said, I'm not the only one. It takes a whole crew of us to do something to make this city move. And right now, in the next 5 to 6 months, you're going to see some of the things that we've been working on to move this city. We are all on the same page right now on the council and with this mayor, and we are going to move this city in the right direction. And I think a lot of people is going to start seeing what we're doing very shortly.
Thanks, Tim. I look forward to seeing that.
You betcha. Thanks for your time.
You're very welcome. And thank you for watching. I'm Russell Lindman. You've been watching Council Action. We'll see you next time.